You've been put in charge of running heck, an afterlife for terrible people who aren't quite evil enough to get into hell. What are some of the tortures you design? A couple of things and probably more once I come up with them. They are lust for the one food they could not withstand in life and go shopping, but shopping carts block the entire pathway. You can see the object but never reach it, nor leave the store until closing time. On the intercom, dancing in the streets is playing on repeat. The pavement is divided between tiles with an X on them, and tiles without an X. Stepping on tiles with an X makes your shoes socks so wet they won't dry for 6 hours. Tiles without an X have dog poop on them. Every Friday there's a slideshow event that's mandatory to visit and lasts 36 hours. Flushing the toilet is only possible once a day. Both sides of their pillows are always hot. Ordered pizza always says, pulling up now on the tracker, but in reality still takes 3 hours. All beds have only the scratchiest of wool blankets, and they're too short to cover your feet and upper torso at the same time. Modified. You're mega tired, you have that blanket, maybe a towel or oversized pillow that you are using to keep sort of warm, but just too tired to get up and go to bed or get the nicer blanket in the other room. Suffer all night. Nights are 24 hours in heck. Oh, so are me beds? All screens are slightly greasy and can't be cleaned. Out of every pair of socks, one is always slightly damp, while the other has a huge hole. You hear construction around your house constantly. During every meal, at least one bite always falls off the fork right before you bite. Chargers only work if you're not using whatever's plugged in. You always feel the urge to crack your knuckles, but they can't crack. All toilet paper must have brown streaks printed on each square of paper, so that people never know if they've wiped enough or not. Edit. Okay, then. Toilet, not tissue paper. All the soda you want, but it's always flat and room temperature. Every fork is missing 2 tines. You get a new pair of shoes, but one shoe's sole is 1/4 inch thicker than the other. Every key is bent just a little bit, but every time you use it, it bends a little bit more. When it finally breaks, it will break off inside the lock, and the one locksmith in heck is busy with everyone else's broken keys. But stay on the line, your call is important to us. You have to flip every USB connection 4 times before it goes in. And if you disconnect without ejecting it first, you lose all the data on the drive permanently. Farts are now as contagious as yawns. And Fridays are what we call beanstravaganza. Every day will have mandatory show tune hour. Every smartphone will have a pre-cracked screen. Pictures hung on the wall will never be perfectly straight. Tables and chairs will always be a little bit wobbly. I can see why you were hired to run heck. You're gonna really turn this place around. May I suggest that every bed must now have a handful of breadcrumbs scattered under the blankets? Always have the taste of just swallowing bad milk. Always missing on stitch in a row while knitting. Always having the feeling of a hair in your mouth. You can never fix the drippy faucet. Always out of meatloaf. Only have the end pieces of bread. All tacos have soggy shells. Every time you count something you are 1 off. There is no cool side of your pillow. One nostril is always clogged. You can never find the last puzzle piece. You always behind a Karen in a line. One fingernail is always too short. Dude, this shit is my dorm. Assuming I'm given powers, then I'd choose the ability to strap them in a chair and tell a story that goes on forever and never quite gets to the point and goes on infinite tangents, and when I reach the end of infinity, I lose my train of thought and go, guess I gotta start over. Well, you've successfully triggered the PTSD from all those Thanksgivings at my grandparents' house. Constant nagging from mom with a screening of John Waters movies. Yes, John Waters movies are great, but if you're the type of person who likes them, you're going to hell for sure, not just heck. Everyone's speech is lagging 1 second behind their lip movements. You fucking monster. I wonder where people like him should be sent to. Hell will look like a paradise where he's going to Frick. I actually live in a town called Frick, in Switzerland. It's much better than you'd imagine. There's a town called fucking Irk. Everything is slightly inconvenient. Waiting for something? It's just slightly later than you needed. Having food? It's always slightly too warm or too cold. Clothes? They don't quite fit, always a bit too tight. Water, beer? It's slightly too warm and the head is too big. Chair and table legs are just slightly too hard to judge, so you stub your toe constantly. Using a computer takes a while to load. Using a phone freezes a lot. I've got it, said Satan, and grinned with delight. May all of their sneezes arrive in the night. May all of their tables be tippy. He cried. May of all their laces be loose and untied. May all of their digits be stubbed till they bleed. May all of their captchas be vexing to read. May all of their dinners be slow to defrost. May all of their keys be departed and lost. May all of their queues be unbearably long. Forever relentlessly stuck on a song. Forever upsetting and spilling their drink. Forever no step on the stair where they think. He giggled, demented, and wiggled with joy. He chuckled, contented, and pleased with his ploy. He danced and he bopped and he bounded and bounced. And let there be stones in their shoes, he announced. One huge line of people, slowly moving forward towards a door. When you get through, there's another huge line of people. You'd start socializing with people around you, but they've been there so long they are super paranoid about you trying to take their spot. Everyone is one bad move away from a complete meltdown, but somehow the tension keeps everyone in line. Pun intended. You're thirsty and hungry, but you can't step out. You're tired, but there's no way to sit down and rest. That is hell. The 7 annoying circles of heck sloth sinners are sitting on an incredibly comfy sofa in front of a TV, but the channel is forever broadcasting an incredibly boring and loud show, and the remote is just out of your arm's reach, moving just far away when you are about to reach it. Wrath the sinner has to guide a person through a task in which the sinner is knowledgeable, but the person performing does the opposite thing by mistake. The task always near completion, but has to be redone because the person fucks it up. The sinner of course cannot intervene. Lust the sinner can watch porn, but their grandmother calls from heaven and has to answer to a video call. Gluttony the sinner can eat any food they desire, but is spiced with the thing they most despise. Greed the sinner has to lend some of cash to a person. That person, when asked to return the money, says yeah, I don't have the cash today, I'll return them to you tomorrow, promise. Envy anything the sinner desires, but a person the sinner despises gets the best version of the thing they wished for. Pride the sinner is in an infinite series of races on the thing they do best against a person who is slyly better at it and always wins. Also the person claims it was their first time at it. Their socks keep falling down inside their shoes. Are the socks wet too? They have that one little microscopic hayseed that makes you take off your shoe and shake it out, but when you put it back on, it still pokes. Then you take off the sock and feel it, but can't find the prickly thing, so you put it back on, and it makes your skin get a little red. There is always a slow driver in front of them. Always. Not bad, just 3 to 4 miles per hour slower than they want to go. And on highways, slower and inconsistent speeds. No cruise control in my heck. They get to play an average online video game, not a terrible one, but it's constantly lagging. Not horrific lag either, that would be hell, just enough to affect their skill without being completely unplayable. Get to play Apex, but all enemies are Chinese hackers, so, PUBG. Joke's on you, that's something I already deal with. They have to eternally scroll down a Facebook feed with nothing but repetitive baby photos and oversharing minion memes. Then an ad pops up which forces the page to the beginning again. They'll have to sleep on a bed that's too cold without the blanket, but too hot with the blanket with no fan to balance it out. And they can't stick a foot out. Then the demons that don't even exist there rip it off. You know when you feel itchy so you scratch yourself, but then after you scratch one itch you're itchy somewhere else? And it's not a strong itch, it's just barely strong enough for you to want to scratch it. Yeah, that. Forever. Also one tiny muscle twitching in your left eyelid. For days. Till I died and went to heck. Gosh darn it. You have to walk around in wet socks for all eternity, and only drink Kool-Aid with no sugar. When driving, someone always cuts them off and then drives 10 below the speed limit. The person in front of you in line always needs to count out their exact change. When ordering at a restaurant, they never have your first choice or your second. You perpetually wake up with a kink in your neck. You are forced to listen to TikTok by K$ha over and over. This one has happened to me in real life, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone who didn't deserve it.